So beginning your practice towards the back half of your mat or your space in a comfortably tall seat, Sukhasana or Siddhasana. Feel free to sit on a blanket if that makes it easier, so you find the natural curves of the spine, the low back, and the back of the neck having their natural inwards curves. Feeling the top of your head being drawn up towards the sky, shoulders then releasing down, and connecting your attention inwards. So either close your eyes or take your gaze towards the ground so that you can tune into your ears and your breath as you hear it coming in and out through your nose, but the sound apparent in the throat as you narrow your throat for Ujjayi Pranayama. Listening carefully to the quality of the breath. Is it any different on the inhale than on the exhale? Can you feel any difference in the pacing of it? Does one side of your breath feel longer than the other? And also noticing the felt sensation of the body, where you expand as you inhale and where you soften, how you release as you exhale. And using that quality of expansion of bringing yourself present on the inhale and releasing whatever you need to let go of on the exhale. Whatever may have come before, whatever you think might come next, so that you're more present and available with the next in-breath. Feeling how the breath moves around the spine, but without disturbing the lift and the natural curves of the spine. Bring your palms together at your heart, your thumbs connected in towards your sternum, using that connection to lift the sternum up, to open the bottom of the lungs and the ribs, making your lower lung region more available for the next breath. And with the Adi mantra, we're tuning into the wisdom within and without. So in the next couple of breaths, determining, feeling into what that means for you, to tune into your inner teacher, your inner wisdom, and to tune into the wisdom or the guidance of the bigger picture, however you understand that. And then breathing in for the first of 3. As you inhale, lift your arms up overhead. As you exhale, stretch them back behind you and take a couple more big circles, circulating your breath through your body as you circle your arms around your body, letting your eyes open if they were closed. Using the inhale to lift up tall and the exhale to stretch back and shrug off anything on your shoulders that isn't needed. And this next time that you release your arms down, we're going to come up onto our feet and start the practice standing. So bringing yourself upright towards the back edge of your mat and being sure you have room to bring your hands out to the sides, back behind you, and up overhead. So feel free to move around so you don't hit anything. We're going to come back to level 1 where we learned breath of joy. So find your feet are parallel underneath you, about front hip width apart, whatever feels balanced. Soften your knees and see that they align over your middle toes when they bend. Let your arms rest by your sides, and with your first inhale, first sniff, bring your arms up in front about shoulder level. Next sniff, bring your arms out to the sides about shoulder level. Last sniff in, bring your arms all the way overhead, and then exhale and fold over. Ha! Keep going, bending your knees with each part of the breath, breathing in 3 sniffs like you're filling yourself in 3 parts, and then emptying out with that strong sound, drawing the belly back, ha, to make the sound, to empty the lungs completely. Finding where the whole body is moving, jaw relaxed. And now that you have the rhythm and you have the breath, add in the joy part. So let yourself lighten up into the movement. As you lift your arms up, inhale, stretch your arms overhead, and then exhale, take your arms back behind you, exhaling through your mouth. Inhale through your nose as you lift your arms up in front, exhale through your mouth as you stretch your arms long and back behind you. And pacing the arms to the breath, so finding one steady circular motion with your arms and with your breath, listening to the sound, particularly on the exhale. So you're figuring out how to pace the breath so it doesn't all rush in or rush out at the very start of the inhale or exhale. Taking just a couple more big circles, feeling how on the inhale you lift your whole body, not just your arms, so growing up through your waist and your legs and keeping that height as you exhale and reach back behind you. And this next time that you release your arms down, we're going to do another ha breath, monkey pulse. So make fists with your hands, inhale at center, and then exhale and pull one fist up towards your underarm, elbow towards the sky. Ha! Let the inhale happen in between, going side to side. Ha! 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 Opening up your side body, pulling your fist up like you're zipping up your side ribs. One more on each side. And then come back to center, release your hands, and bring your attention down into your feet. So we're going to work with Tadasana, mountain pose. Look to see that your feet are parallel to each other and about a fist width apart, so they're not too wide. And then lift all of your 10 toes off the ground, feeling the balls of your feet and the heels of your feet more firmly planted as the arches lift in between. And feeling a fairly even connection from the big toe ball through to the little toe ball, to the inner heel and the outer heel on each foot. So your 4 corners of each foot. And then bring one hand to your belly and one hand to your low back and draw your belly in and up so you feel the support and length in your low back. And then release your arms down, but keep the awareness in your core. So see if you can feel that tuck of the low belly to lengthen and support the low back without losing your breath. So how do you breathe when you have your abdominal muscles engaged? Stretch your fingers down, your palms facing the sides of your thighs, so you feel your shoulder blades are on your back and your shoulders are broad. A lot of space around your neck. And tune into your breath. So practicing that Ujjayi pranayama, that ocean-sounding breath, and visualizing that the breath comes from the feet, as though you're suctioning the inhale out of the earth, drawing it up through your arches, through your legs, through your spine, and then exhaling and stretching it out and up through the top of your head, so you grow taller with each breath. And the next time that you inhale, lift your arms up in front and bring them, if possible, in line with your ears. If your shoulders are tight, you might have to take your arms wider so that your shoulders don't creep up around your neck. So feel you still have all that space around your neck. Your arms are either parallel to each other, or if your shoulders are tight, they're more in a V shape. Reach long through your elbows and your fingers, and then release down broad through your shoulders at the same time. One of the things we discover in yoga is the ability to move in 2 opposite directions at once without falling apart. So taking a couple more breaths here with the visualization we had before of inhaling and coming up through the feet, the legs, the spine, exhaling out through the top of the head and the arms. So holding extended mountain, Utthita Tadasana. It may help you here, if you feel balanced, to close your eyes so that you can visualize the breath in the body and that image of the breath coming up from the ground. So you feel the connection, the broad mountain base in your feet, and rising up to the peak, to the top of your head and your fingers, without disintegrating, without your shoulders coming off your back, without your tail pointing back. So you're feeling the length in your low back and the strength of the core. And simply standing with your arms overhead and visualizing the breath and connecting to the breath in the body. Notice how you feel. If anything's changed in terms of your relationship to the ground, the relationship to your breath, and how your arms feel. The next time that you exhale, turn your palms out and take your arms out slowly, like you're moving your arms through something heavier than air, so maybe water or honey. So there's almost a sense of resistance, keeping the shoulders broad on the back, still continuing to lift up through your legs and your spine, and reach out long through your arms, noticing how your hands and shoulders feel. And when you release your arms down, let your toes relax. Close your eyes if they're not already closed, and feel where your balance is on your feet. Notice if your arches tend to collapse when your toes aren't lifted, or if you tend to favor one foot or the other. And then with your eyes still closed, favor the left foot. Shift your weight over onto your left foot and see if you can feel that. Feel that your toes spread out from each other. So there's little gaps between your toes, and that you can lift your inner arch up and move that lift up through your inner thigh and continue that lift up through the center of your body, just like when you're on both feet. And once you find your weight more fully on your left foot, start to let your right foot hover. And at this point, you may need to open your eyes to anchor yourself in space. So when you find that your weight is fully taken onto the left foot and you're lifting out of that foot, extend your right leg long in front, toes pointing towards the front edge of the mat, and take some big circles through your foot at your ankle joint, keeping your knee steady, your legs steady. Your arms may need to come out to the sides to help you balance as you focus on opening the right ankle and breathing into it. Change the direction of your circles, looking for big circles that you're carving out in space with your toes without moving the leg. And then point and flex your foot so your toes point straight in front of your ankle, your knee, and your front hip, as opposed to off to the right. Drawing back, feeling how the movement of the foot at the end of the leg affects the whole leg, starts to move up into the leg muscles. And the next time that you point your foot, draw your toes back like you have a high heel on, and plant the ball of your foot and your toes down. Shift your weight forward so that you come up onto the ball and toes of both feet, as though you have high heels on. Keep a little bit of space left to right and feel how much space you need front to back so that your heels can be the same lift off the ground. Grow up really tall. Lift your heels up above the balls of your feet so your calves wake up. And as you find your height, square your hips forward so your front hips are like headlights pointing off the front edge of the mat. Use your next exhale to bend your knees and bring yourself closer to the ground, but without dropping your heels. Use your inhale to come back up, to lift up tall, as though you're being drawn up through the top of your head, and then exhale and bend your knees. So the slower you move with this, the slower your breath. So the greater control you're gaining over your breathing, your internal environment. But also you're creating more strength and aptitude for balancing. So take your time with this. Inhale to come up, and exhale to come down. Feeling how you're strengthening your feet and your calves. And even though you're coming down towards the ground with the exhale, keep that sense of being lifted up towards the sky at the same time. So then you're not collapsing. It's much easier to lift up when you're already lifted up. The next time that you come down to your lowest point, pause there, hold the lowest point, but don't hold your breath. And see if you can lift within it. Lift your heels up, right up above the balls of your feet. Lift up through your low belly. Lift up through your sternum and the back of your head, feeling and breathing into the strength your legs are coming into. And use your next inhale to lift all the way back up. As you come up tall, shift your weight back onto your left foot again, and as you bring your left foot down, look to see that the middle of your foot is parallel to the side edge of the mat, because the heel tends to want to turn into the midline. And when you find that, where your foot is aligned and your weight's fully on your left foot, draw your right knee up and hold onto your shin or your knee or your thigh with your hands. And just draw up to the point where your left knee doesn't bend. So if you think of pushing the ground away with your left heel, anchoring fully down through the foot and drawing up through the left thigh muscle, that'll make it easier to balance than if you bend the knee. And it also stabilizes the knee without locking it back. Then as you hold on to your bent right knee and start to slowly draw it up towards you, notice the tug zone, the point where it starts to tug on the standing leg and pulls it into a bend. So just go to the point where it doesn't. Focus your eyes on a point to help your balance, to anchor you in space, and then keeping your right knee in your right hand, take your right knee out to the right and your left arm out to the left, and just go to the point in opening to the right that your left knee doesn't follow you. So again, feel for that tug zone. Where does the standing leg, knee, swerve towards the midline? Keep it aligned over the left middle toes instead. And then bringing yourself back to center, release your right foot down as gracefully as you can. Come back into Tadasana, mountain pose. So check that your toes line up. Your feet are parallel to each other and to the side edges of your mat. And then release your toes out wide from each other and release your arms down long by your sides. If you feel balanced, close your eyes. If you need a little more stability, take your gaze down towards the ground, but lift up through your legs and through your spine and through the top of your head and reconnect to your breath. It's really easy in balancing when we're holding ourselves up off the ground to hold the breath. So if that happened, connect to your breathing again, let it flow. With your eyes closed, shift your weight over to your right foot now and feel that change. Feel what happens in your body from the foot all the way up through the head when you take the weight out of the left foot. So notice if you sink into the outer right hip. Keep the central lift that we were playing with in mountain pose before of inner arch, inner thigh, spine, top of head. And when you have that, take your left foot off the ground, hover it, let your eyes open, look at a point ahead of you to help anchor as you take your left leg out in front, push the ground away with your right foot so you don't sink, and then circle your left foot at the end of a long leg. Feel free to take your arms out if they need to help you balance, but keep your jaw relaxed and your breath flowing. Change the direction of your foot if you haven't already. And then start pointing and flexing your foot. If you're able to look down at your foot without losing your balance, see that all of the bones are in line. So middle of your toes, ankle, knee, front hip, as you point forward and then draw back. And feeling the interplay of the front and back of the leg muscles. Then coming into seat of Isis, so your high heels. Bring the ball of your left foot down, giving yourself enough space left to right that you're not on a tightrope. It makes it harder to balance when you are. So a little bit of space left to right, and however much space front to back that you can feel you're wearing the same pair of heels. Your heels are lifted above the balls of your feet, the same height. And when you get that, draw up through your whole body. Keep the sense of lifting up as you bend your knees on the exhale, as though you're resisting coming down. Keep lifting up. The slower you can keep this motion, the more you can feel all of those little subtle changes, the dance that happens with balancing and with strengthening. So moving with your slow breath, using your inhale to lift up and your exhale to release down, keeping the ocean sound. Noticing the point when you get closer to the ground where the heels want to drop and countering that by lifting the heels higher. And the next time that you get to your lowest point, pause, breathe within it, and add that lift in the heels. Lift up through the belly, lift up through your skull. So everything's lifted up, even though you're closer to the ground. Breathing steadily. Use your next inhale, follow your breath, to lift up. As you exhale, shift your weight back onto your right foot. checking that the middle of your foot's aligned with the side edge of your mat, so your middle toes are pointing straight ahead, and drawing your weight up through your right leg. Once you feel that you're standing on your right foot, hold on to your left knee as you draw it up towards you, and just bringing it up to the point that your right knee doesn't bend. So think of pushing the ground away with your right heel. So you're rebounding up, pressing down through your foot to draw up through your right thigh, taking the bend out of your knee, but also not locking it, using the muscles to lift it up. And when you feel that the left knee coming up towards your body isn't pulling the right knee into a bend, breathe. And then open your left knee to the left as you take your right arm to the right to help you counterbalance. See if you can feel within all that's going on, all that balancing and breathing, that your right knee is staying aligned over your toes. It'll tend to want to follow your left knee to the left, so actively lift up on your right thigh muscle to keep the knee safe and squared to the front. Give that one more inhale, opening out crosswise. And then exhale, come back to center and release your left foot, coming back to Tadasana, mountain pose. As you bring your feet underneath you, if you're not already at the back edge of the mat, bring your heels all the way to the back edge of the mat. Release your arms down by your sides, soften your knees, and check that your knees track out over your middle toes when you bend them, so your feet are parallel under front hips. Once you've set your feet, your knees are still bent, then close your eyes. As you lift your head up, close your eyes. And if you've had trouble closing your eyes so far, I invite you to play here with closing your eyes fully, so that you can bring your head, your mind, down into your feet and really feel your feet on the ground. Listen to your breath. With your eyes closed, you have greater access to your ears, so listen to the sound quality of your breath. Let any tension release from the body that isn't needed to hold you up tall. And the next time that you exhale, bend your knees a little bit more, get a little closer to the ground so you can feel the weight dropping down through your heels a little bit more deeply. And keeping your knees slightly bent and your eyes closed, shift your weight to your left foot. Let your right foot just hover above the ground, and then if you really need more support, you can slide it along the floor, but if you can, step it forward slowly and bring the right heel down first. Then roll through the sole of the foot, from the heel into the ball of the foot, feeling how when you bring the right foot down, the left foot lifts behind. As one foot takes weight, the other foot gives way. Taking a slow walk from here, walking the plank is what I call this. So notice your tendency to open your eyes, trust your feet, get your head down into your feet and feel them on the ground. And see if you can find one steady motion, like you're moving through something denser than air. So if you notice that when you pick the back foot up, it goes quickly forwards, see if you can slow it down so everything is one pace. Again, like you're moving through water. And really feeling with your feet, the soles of your feet on the mat, the texture. So then you'll know when you get to the front edge of the mat, or if you walk off the side, you'll feel the texture change. You can trust your feet. When you get to the front and you feel that, without opening your eyes, reset your feet underneath you so you're in mountain pose again. Feel that with your feet, and then open your eyes and look and see where you are on the mat and how your feet are, if you need to make any changes. So you get a sense of which way you swerve, and also how your feet feel when it feels like they're aligned, how they actually are when you open your eyes and you see them. So coming into standing yoga mudra, lift your toes, lift up through your arches, lift the muscles of the front thighs, lift your low belly to support your low back, bring your hands interlaced behind your back, palms facing each other, and activate the muscles in the upper back to open the upper chest. Lead out with your upper chest as you exhale so that you're pivoting at your hips. If you're feeling fear in the low back or upper hamstrings, then bend your knees, but find as much length in the legs as you can breathe into and feel safe. Visualize, just like you were doing with Tadasana, mountain pose, of breathing up the legs, and then as you exhale, breathe from the hips down the spine, through the head, so you let your head drop towards your toes. Look down. See that your 10 toes are lifted, both arches are lifted. You have an even sense of lift on your inner and outer ankles. And then lifting up through your kneecaps, your thigh muscles. So the more you activate the front of the thighs, the more reciprocal stretch you find in the back of the thighs. See if you can get a sense of your sits bones under your butt cheeks and your tailbone tilting up away from your heels, up towards the sky. And breathing from the heels up on the inhale to your hips, and from your hips down through your spine on the exhale. So if you want to deepen this, take your arms farther away from your back as though you're reaching them off the front edge of the mat. Use your exhale to release your spine, release your head into the pull of gravity. And the next time that you exhale, release your arms, unlace your fingers, release your toes back down to the ground, bend your knees, transition your hands down and your feet back towards the back edge of the mat. Come down into child pose, balasana. Find where you're comfortable in this posture. Having done this a few times over the weeks, you've probably now found your groove for it. Where do your knees need to be? Where does your head rest easily? Use your hands to help press your hips back, lengthen your low back, and then you might want to rest your hands under your head or back by your feet. And see how efficiently you can release down into the alignment of the posture, into this little fetal child position. Letting go of holding yourself up, as you have been doing in these postures before, and letting the earth hold you up. Letting your breath happen now, so letting go of Ujjayi pranayama. Noticing if there's anything you're holding in your body that you can, in the next few breaths, possibly release. Noticing what you've done today, where you're feeling that, what sort of energy it's given you. And if there's anything in the practice, any sort of energy or awareness, strength or flexibility that you might like to take with you off the mat, making a note of that. And letting go of anything that was stirred up that you don't need to take with you. And breathing a little deeper now, perhaps in Ujjayi pranayama, but just a little bit more space, feeling your back open. And if you can, taking in a sense of gratitude with your in-breath for having this body to move and breathe into. And this next time that you inhale, you feel your body expand with the in-breath. Uncurl, bring yourself upright. Take your arms out and up overhead, and drawing your palms together, down along your midline. And acknowledging yourself for being present with yourself and anyone else you've practiced with. Namaste.